Welcome back for another video, folks. If you've been following this Jenelle Evans, David Eason drama, if you've been following this really sad story, really sad story, it's being reported by numerous news outlets that MTV have ended their relationship with Jenelle as a result of this situation. David Eason, they ended their relationship with him since last February. So they had no more, he wasn't working, he wasn't on the show anymore, he wasn't working for them anymore. And as a result of this situation with the dog, neither is she. So MTV released a statement saying, "We have stopped filming with Jenelle Eason as of April 6, 2019, and have no plans to cover her story in the upcoming season." So, I guess that means they fired her. I'm not sure that's exactly what it means. It could be, hey, we're just gonna take a break away from her and see how this whole situation plays out. And who knows, we might come back in a couple of, we might come back again to her and put her back on the show. That could mean that. It doesn't come right out and say we fired her. It just said we are not filming her right now, and we have no plans on filming her in the upcoming season. So, who knows, if she gets her act together, they might go back to her. Who knows? But as of right now, it's being interpreted as she's been fired. Okay, and kudos to MTV. Kudos to them for this, because this whole situation with the dog was really unnecessary. It just seemed like a really unnecessary situation. That's the sad thing about it, Of all the things they could have done with the dog, give it away. If they felt it was a threat to their daughter, then give the dog to someone else. I mean, I gotta tell you something. When I first heard this story about the dog, and I was reading where they were saying, how he beat the dog up and punched the dog and threw the dog and shot the dog, I was like, what kind of dog is this? Like, I thought this was like a big, really huge, vicious dog. And I'm like, really? He did all of that to the dog? And then he released the video, and it's this little puppy. I mean, it looks like this little puppy, like this little tiny dog. Like, did you, like, you see the dog and you're like, wow, this guy's a bully. You know what I mean? This guy's a bully. Like, what was that dog gonna do? Like, what was a little tiny dog like that gonna do? How could that dog protect itself against a huge guy like that? But what exactly could that dog do but die? Really, that's the unfortunate. It just looked like this big huge guy bullied this little tiny dog. Of all the things they could have done, if they felt the dog was a threat to their child, I don't think killing it, that little tiny dog like that, I don't think killing it should have been on the list. But that was option number one. Isn't that crazy? The thing that should not even been considered was the first thing he considered. So the dog is dead, and so is her career. Her career is dead now too, because let's be honest, MTV Teen Mom 2 was her bread and butter, and that was their lifeline. That was their finances. Okay, this guy didn't have a job. This guy don't have a job. He's walking around puffing his chest out, threatening people, threatening the FBI, threatening the Secret Service. And he can do all of that because the money she's making from MTV is enabling him to do all of that. Well, that money is not going to be coming in anymore. It's just not going to be coming in anymore. And when they knew they messed up, because I mean, I don't know, I this whole situation, it kind of feels premeditated, It kind of feels like a little part of me is going, did these people really do this for publicity? Did they really think this was a good idea to get publicity? Who would think brutally killing a dog would be a good idea to get publicity? You'd have to be crazy. You'd have to be strung out on drugs, not in your right mind, to even think that that is remotely in any way a good idea to get publicity. But there's a little part of me that wants to think that they might have actually did this for publicity. Because he released the video. People have seen the video. I'm not going to play the video here. But he released a video where the dog and the child is on the couch, and we see the child like going down real close to the dog. I don't know if she was trying to hug the dog or like put her face right up against the dog's face or whatever. And then the dog snapped and like nipped at her, right? And she started crying. And my thing is, they show that video, and then he shows a picture of the child's scratched face, right? And then he posted and said, I don't give a damn what animal bites my baby on the face. Whether it be your dog or mine, a dog is a dog, and I don't put up with that shit at all. I'm all about protecting my family. It is my life's mission. Some people are worth killing or dying for, and my family means that much to me. You can hate me all you want, but this isn't the first time the dog bit Ensley aggressively. The only person that can judge whether or not an animal is a danger to my child is me. Now here's the thing about that. Here's what I find interesting about that statement. He admits in that statement that that's not the first time the child was aggressive towards his daughter, his 2-year-old daughter. Now, if you're a parent and your life's mission is the safety of your children, and you have a dog that's been aggressive towards your child before, how come we're seeing this video of the child in that close of a proximity to the animal? If I had an animal and there's a problem with a safety issue, a safety concern with that animal and my child, I think I'm going to keep the child away from the animal. I'm not going to consistently put them together knowing that this dog acts aggressively towards the child. I'm going to keep them apart. But yet he's saying that this has happened before, and you keep putting the child next to the dog, knowing that this has happened before. So you're there, you put the child next to the dog, and you're filming it. You're filming it because I guess you know the dog at some point is going to act aggressively, right? You know what's going to happen, so you're filming it. So you have evidence. Once you kill this dog, you have your little evidence to prove, to justify why you killed this dog. At least in your twisted mind, you have this evidence, right? So I'm going to have this evidence to show everybody why I had to kill this dog. So I'm going to put this dog here and put the kid next to it, and I'm just going to film them until that dog snaps, because I know it's going to snap. It's done this before. That's like staging a scene, right? You kind of it's like they staged that scene knowing what's going to happen. And they know what they were planning to do, right? It feels like premeditated. It feels like it was premeditated. It feels like it was premeditated. That just when I look at that video and I read his explanation, it kind of feels like they staged this. They planned to kill that dog, and this is what they wanted to do. They created some evidence so they can say, hey, this is why I did it. I'm justified. Like, people are really gonna fall for that. You are a human being, a living, breathing, thinking human being. You know the child and the dog. You know the dog gets aggressive around the child, so you claim, right? I would keep the child away from the dog if that's what's happening. I wouldn't keep putting them together because I'm a living, breathing, thinking human being, and I can think on a level that a dog can't think on. But no, instead, you put the responsibility on the dog. Like a human being putting the responsibility for the child's safety on the dog. And because the dog didn't live up to your expectations, you kill the dog. So I know, you should know better than this. You should have done better. You shouldn't have attacked my child again. And now you're going to pay with your life. Instead of me being the parent, the human being, the higher being with a higher capacity to think, instead of him being the one to keep that child away from the animal and not keep putting the child in its path, he put the responsibility on the dog and then said, dog, you failed, so you're going to lose your life. You failed, and that's going to cost you your life. That just feels premeditated. Like, it just feels that way. And I can't help but wonder, what human beings would think that society would look at that and say, oh yeah, you're right for killing the dog, you're justified. You did the right thing. Like, who's gonna think that way? When you see this little tiny animal This little tiny animal. This is some huge, maybe if it was like this really big dog, people might be sympathetic to him. But it's a tiny, small animal. That was unnecessary. Killing that dog was unnecessary. Of all the things they could have done to resolve that situation, the number one thing would have been to give the dog away. The second thing would have been to keep the child and the dog away from each other if you felt, at least until you felt like the child was old enough to protect herself, or at least understand how to interact better with the animal. But no, the number one option in his mind was to kill the dog. Brutally murder the dog. And on top of that, it just feels staged. It just feels staged. So, MTV's parting ways with her. Kudos to MTV, because their situation doesn't seem like a good situation. It feels like a dangerous situation. And if you're MTV, you're gonna be associated with them, but if anything bad happens, if you're not associated with them at the time it happens, it's not directly, it's not gonna be directly on you, okay? This guy doesn't have a job. He's walking around chest out, threatening people, threatening the FBI, threatening the Secret Service, because he's living good off of the money she makes from MTV. And to be honest with you, if you watch that show, Jenelle Evans isn't that interesting. She isn't that interesting. Like, her mother makes her interesting. The interaction with her mother makes her interesting. But she's not that interesting. The mom is the one that makes those situations interesting. The mom is really the star, really, if you want to think of it that way. The mom is like the star. She's the one that makes it interesting, makes it compelling to watch them. Not Jenelle. It's the mom, okay? And now the mom is out of a sweet little gig, because I'm sure she was making good money herself. I'm sure she was getting a decent check for being on that show. But if they're not going to be following Jenelle's storyline anymore, there's no need for the mother. The mother is not going to be on the show. So her mom's going to be out of a job too. And like the mom kept telling her on the show, you keep getting with these guys who are dragging you down. You keep getting with guys who are dragging you down. And as much as she hates the mom, everything the mom tells her is happening. Everything the mom tells her is happening. You keep getting with guys who keep dragging you down. And she's with a guy who finally cost her job, right? He cost her job. So now that sweet MTV check, she won't be getting it anymore. So we'll see how that goes now. We'll see if she wakes up. I don't think she'll wake up. I don't think she's ever gonna wake up. But we'll see. Now she's out of her paycheck, right? That MTV paycheck is gone now. Let's see how that goes. Kudos to MTV. Anyway, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.